Okay. All right. I'm here. All right. We're going to do this. So I'm going to be making a video for my truck, truck video. All right. It's 2:40 right now. I got a class in about 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this short little video, post it, because I haven't posted in a while. Been busy doing homework, playing drums, trying to get the last couple videos out, but just haven't had the time. So I'm just this is a video giving an update for one, and then also talking about Captain Marvel, because for the reason for that is, and I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to do a lot of cuts, doing it vertical. I'm not going to do a lot of cuts for this video. I'm going to do this as raw as possible here. Mistakes and everything. That's charming with it, I guess. Fucking whatever, man. I'm already a mess as it is. Anyway, we're talking about Captain Marvel today. Reason for that is because the Marvels comes out this Friday. I believe the 10th, November the 10th. It comes out this Friday. So, normally on a regular day, I would not have taken my time out of my day to go see the Marvels. I'm not interested. I don't care about Kamala Khan. I don't really care about the MCU's or the MCU's Monica Rambeau. I have no interest in the Marvels. The only real interest is monetary value for my own channel. If I was not a content creator, I would not have seen this movie at all. So, when it does come out, I'm going with a group of friends on the Sunday of the 12th. So, I personally will not be paying money to go see this movie. I would rather pay my friends, pay them to pay for the seats and whatnot, rather than pay the theaters for my ticket. That's how I see it. I'm not giving my money to Disney, and really neither should you. But that's why I'm going to see this movie, is so that you don't have to. So that my fans, my followers, my subscribers, so that my audience doesn't have to go see this movie. I am bearing through the suffering for you, okay? This movie was dead on arrival the minute they put the pen to the paper, because of the, what we're going to talk about with Captain Marvel. So, before we get to that, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. If you want to see more truck videos, let me know you want to see more truck videos, man. This is out of desperation just about. So, let's get down to it. Captain Marvel, released in 2019, right before Endgame, right after The Wasp and Ant-Man, a.k.a. Ant-Man and the Wasp, for some people who hold on to that for some reason. But in between Infinity War and Endgame, the two biggest MCU movies ever, I believe, Captain Marvel was released in like the February or March, right before Endgame. And the marketing made you believe that this movie was like significant to the plot of Endgame. When ultimately, when Endgame finally did come out, you could have cut Captain Marvel out of the movie. It wouldn't have made a damn difference. Now, some people might say, oh, well, she's powerful and she flew around, she destroyed the ships. So what did she do that Thor couldn't do? That, like, Iron Man couldn't do? Literally, you cut her out of the movie. The only thing that changes is that possibly Tony Stark doesn't find a way home. But I find that hard to believe, because even Tony Stark would be like, oh, you know what? I'm a freaking genius. I can manufacture some sort of bullshit to get us home. Or even Nebula could have helped him get home. There's so many ways they could have written that to make it work without Captain Marvel. Because when she goes to Earth in the post-credit scene of her own movie to find out where Tony is, it doesn't make sense how she found him in the middle of space outside of Titan on the Benatar. It doesn't make any sense to me. It shouldn't make any sense to anybody. But somehow she found him out of freaking nowhere, took his ass home for the rest of the movie, and then she fucks off. And then she's gone. She's gone for the rest of the movie until the very last battle. She doesn't go back to time travel then, but I wonder why that is. I wonder if that's because of the backlash of Captain Marvel. So, believe it or not, I actually didn't mind when I saw Captain Marvel. I actually liked the movie for the most part when I first saw it. So, I didn't know much about the Captain Marvel comic arcs. I knew that Marvel, I think Dr. Lawson was the main character, the male character. He was effectively one of the many, Marvel try to be Superman characters out there. And that's not any sort of diss towards Marvel or Marvel. It was more like Marvel didn't have a Superman, so they needed some character that could be in the same power level as Superman. And so Marvel was the original Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers, as I knew Carol Danvers, was Miss Marvel, Songbird in some cases. Carol Danvers was a completely different character. It wasn't until woke Marvel, it wasn't until all new, all different bullshit that Carol Danvers became Captain Marvel through a tokenized sort of gender swap. She kind of got the mantle passed down to her, because there's like 50 different Captain Marvels within the continuity of, the Marvel comics, as far as I know. So I initially didn't mind the movie when I first saw it. I mean, I thought Brie Larson was a fine actress at the time. I liked her in 21 Jump Street, had no ill will towards anybody here. And unfortunately, I was a little bit misguided, and I was under the hype of the MCU at the time when it was at its biggest. A lot of things with Endgame have not aged well with me. A lot of things like Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Captain Marvel have all had a struggle over the years. Even though I first not liked them initially, I come back and I watch them later, and I'm like, oh, that would have been better if they had done this, or that would have been better, and I didn't like the way they handled this. And I'm studying more about writing and becoming, inept, or not inept, like capable, it's the complete opposite, capable of criticizing movies on writing skills and acting skills and all this stuff. I've known about all that for a long time, and upping my knowledge on a lot of that stuff. So, I didn't mind Captain Marvel when I first saw it. It wasn't until I rewatched it a couple more times that I was like, oh, I don't like that. This movie did not age well with me. It doesn't seem like, it ended up not being a really great movie in the end. It was one of the worst movies that I had initially liked to begin with. Exclusionary of the 2001 Planet of the Apes movie. that was a freaking disaster of a movie, and I still liked it as a kid. But back on to Captain Marvel, I was stuck up in the hype, and a lot of people were as well. That's why the movie got $1 billion. The argument that we always hear, oh, how could you say that? Oh, how you can say it's a bad movie when the movie got $1 billion? The movie got $1 billion because it was stuck between two of the biggest movies of all time and the MCU, basically. So, of course it would get $1 billion, especially when they were marketing off of the, first ever female superhero thing, and you have to see this movie to understand Endgame, when really you didn't have to. And so a couple of things that I did notice when I first saw the movie that I was initially like, that was a weird decision. And this is something like, even those decisions made me question how the MCU was going to be handled, but it didn't make me hate the movie until way later. And now I can't even watch the movie now. I can't do it. I can't do it without seeing these things. When I first saw it, the first thing I noticed with the Skrulls is that the Skrulls were being like this sympathetic, they were these sympathetic villains. So they were like just an immigration allegory. Like, what the fuck? The Skrulls were the bad guys. The Kree were the bad guys. That was the whole thing about the Kree-Skrull War was that from my understanding of it, is that it was war. There was no good guys or bad guys. It was a question of morality on both sides. There are no good guys or bad guys when it comes to that. It was a very nuanced sort of thing. It was very mature. They went straight to Kree are colonizers, and and they're pushing the Skrulls out of their home and making the Skrulls fucking immigrants. It was lame. I noticed that the first time. And so things like Captain Marvel like having to pull the chip out of her neck, and like, oh, she's being held back by all the men around her, and like her only like complex character arc is that she has to stop, like she has to let go of herself. She has to stop letting go of her own insecurity or some bullshit, right? Like to end up becoming her true self, the hero's journey. Dude, what the hell were they thinking when they wrote this movie? I don't understand. And I think what really caused something like this to start, and it really affected the rest of the MCU following that movie, the MCU, was when DC came out with Wonder Woman in 2017, and everybody was like, Kevin Feige, where's your woman superhero movie? Where's your female-led superhero movie? And Kevin Feige's sitting there with his bald ass and his small dick, and he's just like, oh, you know what? We don't need one superhero movie. We don't need one female-led superhero movie. We need all the superhero movies to be female-led. Every single character will be female. There will be more female characters in the MCU than male characters. And by God, that motherfucker did it. He finally did it. There are more female characters since Phase 4 than there were male characters. Motherfuckers had to bring 2 other Spider-Man out of the multiverse just to even out the freaking male odds there, man. That ratio was all over the place. So, now that we're this far into the MCU, following pretty much Captain Marvel's lead on what's really been the basis of the MCU. Captain Marvel was the Iron Man for the MCU, where Iron Man was for the MCU, if that makes sense. The Marvels, which was originally Captain Marvel 2, and she got demoted because of the backlash towards Brie Larson. And yeah, admittedly in the movie, she acts like a brick. I liked her and some other stuff, but she had no gravitas in the movie. She had no personality. She beat the bad guys in like less than 5 minutes, not projecting in any sort of struggle. And it was hard to be invested in her. And the only time that they were like, they kept trying to push her as like this godly, like Superman sort of thing. It was lame how they did it. Could have been handled so much better, you know, and a little bit more tasteful, given, you know, all the intersectional feminist bullshit that we see in Hollywood these days. Oh, yeah, we want to see A-Force. You know what? Give me A-Force. I'll go see that motherfucker, and I'll make 10 videos on it. I'll do 10 videos on an A-Force movie. Let's do it. So, this new Captain Marvel movie ain't got a fucking chance, because it was originally Captain Marvel 2, got demoted to The Marvels. It was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2. It became The Marvels. This movie requires you to watch not only Captain Marvel, probably Endgame, even though it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with Endgame. They're putting a lot of Endgame material and a lot of Endgame clips in the promotion for the Marvels. I don't think they have anything to do with each other. You have to watch Miss Marvel on Disney+. I didn't even bother my ass to watch Miss Marvel on Disney+, because I'm not a teenage Pakistani girl. It's not made for me. They told me it's not made for me. They're like, this movie or this show is not made for fans of Marvel. This is not made for comic book purists. This is not made for straight white men. I'm like, bet. I won't watch it. It ain't for me. I don't need to watch it. So whenever people didn't watch it and the numbers were low, they're like, why didn't you watch our show? Why didn't you watch us? You told me not to. You told me not to watch it. So, you have to also watch WandaVision, and by proxy, probably Doctor Strange 2. Every single title I just listed off was fucking hard to watch. I didn't watch Miss Marvel. I watched WandaVision. It felt like I kept getting mousetrapped on my dick the entire time. And even worse, Doctor Strange 2 was like getting a mousetrap on your dick while somebody's yanking on it. I can't describe to you the amount of frustration and the amount of anger I had with Doctor Strange 2. And now we're at the point of apathy. I think I'm at the point of apathy myself. I can't speak for everybody, especially the MCU stans who still think that there's some sort of chance here, even if they reboot the motherfucker. What are the chances that they don't reboot it and make it all new, all different a second time? They've had Fantastic Four and the X-Men for like 4 fucking years. Haven't made a single movie off of them. If I were running Marvel right now, the second I got Fantastic Four or the X-Men, I work straight on that. I get Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine if I can, whatever. I start casting, making accurate, Fantastic Four and X-Men, and integrate them with the MCU. You know what they could have done? You know what they could have done? You know the Spider-Man spell, from No Way Home, where they wipe everybody's memories using that? What are the chances that Professor X, to protect the mutants, didn't use that spell so that people didn't know who the mutants were in the MCU, that they were always canonically there, but because of that spell, because of Doctor Strange, that they weren't, like, people didn't know, right? That's a good way to avoid continuity issues and have them still be canon. But they didn't do that. They instead went ahead and tried to make Kamala Khan the first mutant in the MCU, which is bullshit. It's bullshit. I don't believe it. Kamala Khan was a shit character to begin with. And it's not like it had to be that way. It's just the people that wrote her, the people who created her, were assholes. A bunch of activist assholes who thought they were better than everybody else and thought that their characters should replace the characters that have been around for decades. So no, I have no interest in watching Miss Marvel to watch The Marvels. And I will watch The Marvels. And when I do, I will make several videos on it, if not EFAP it, if I can. You know, there's videos like this I can make. I got time in between here and there to make these kind of videos. But ultimately, I feel no desire to see this movie other than for the content that I could create. Now, this is no shade on my friends who do want to see it, or anybody who wants to see it. That's fine. I don't get, like, I'm not a stuck-up dickhead about it. I explain to people why I don't like something. I'm like, let's talk about it, you know? Let's talk about why I don't like it, why you might like it, you know, all that stuff. And even if you like it after what I've presented, that's fine. You know, totally fine. But there's some motherfuckers out there, some shills out there. They're like, oh, why don't you like it? What are you, an istophoba thingy thong? And I'm just like, bro, it's not comic book accurate. And they're like, none of the movies are comic book accurate. The closest thing, like the best thing that Marvel Studios has ever produced, Daredevil. Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil from season 1 and 2. Haven't seen season 3 yet, but I saw season 1 and 2. It's the greatest thing they've ever created. And you know who had no fingerprints on it? Kevin Feige. No fingerprints from Kevin Feige. So, I will be seeing the Marvels later. Movie looks like it's going to flop. It looks like it's going to be another fucking flop. And they're going to be desperate. They're going to try and throw in the Beast, Kelsey Grammer's Beast, maybe Galactus, some Fox X-Men shit, right? It's going to lead right to Deadpool or whatever. They're going to have to try really hard to rebuild the superhero, the MCU superhero fatigue thing, because that's something that's been going around as bullshit as well, is there's no such thing as superhero fatigue. I think what people are tired of is shit movies. They're tired of activism. They're tired of tokenization. They're tired of formulaic stories. People can go back to the old comics. They can even go to Comic Historian if they want to. I don't know why. But people have a desire for good superhero material. That's a fact. What they have a problem with is formulaic, activist-based bullshit that really doesn't push the needle. People have been disappointed with the MCU because they've had no goals. From the beginning with Iron Man 1, there was an end game goal, at least for the most part. It was Infinity War. They announced it early on. And now, we didn't have an announcement for Secret Wars until, last year, Comic-Con 2022? Phase 4 started in 2019. It didn't kick off really until 2020, 2021, something like that. But really, when they announced it in 2019's Comic-Con, they should have announced their full plan for Secret Wars. But they never did. And as a result, we've been slogging through this shit. So here we are. The apathy has set in. I wanted I'll tell you what apathy sounds like, right? I wanted to watch Loki. I watched the first 2 episodes of Loki. I was so bored and so tired, couldn't bother my ass to watch the next 3 or 4 out of the 6. There's only 6 episodes. I couldn't do it. I was going to make a video every single week for every single episode, like I did Ahsoka. And I couldn't do it, dude. I just could not do it because Loki was so boring. It was lame. I didn't care about any of the characters. Loki has been destroyed beyond comprehension at this point. Like, it's unbelievable how they took a Loki character and absolutely ball busted him to death. So I'm going to finish Loki. I'll do it. I'll finish it. I committed to it. But it might be a little while before I get that video out because holy shit, the show is boring. It's just boring. I can't bother my ass to watch it. So we'll get to it. My Daryl Dixon review is about finished. I'm going to get it out soon. Watching Fear the Walking Dead was fucking garbage. And then still got to finish The Continental. I'm not sure what else is coming out. I'll talk about other things later on. This video went on way longer than I thought it would, but that's fine. I need the content. I need the content. So this is almost more like a live stream than an actual video. But we'll chop this. Well, no, we don't have to chop this up. But I need a plan when it comes to these videos because I did not intend for this video to go this long. And I didn't intend for it to go with no cuts this long, right? But I don't want to cut it now. I'm too lazy. I got shit to do. So the MCU is so dead. Marvel's not dead. I mean, the comics pretty much are dead because the comic book industry. Marvel can't exist without the comic book industry, and the comic book industry is fucking dead. But the MCU is more dead now because of that, because of, you know, what they've done to these characters. And yeah, now they're going to try and bring back Robert Downey Jr. for Secret Wars. On a normal day, I would have been hyped for this, but all I can think about is how bad are they going to fuck this up? How bad are they going to bastardize Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man? I mean, they can do a one last final hurrah and send him off appropriately, but I don't have faith that they will. Even when Kevin Feige says so, even when Kevin Feige's like, guys, I realize we did things wrong now. We're going to try and fix it. The damage is kind of already done. You know, even if you bring back Robert Downey Jr., you got a lot more damage to fix. So, more videos on this kind of topic coming later. I'll talk to y'all another day. Yeah, 22 minutes. Hell yeah. Subscribe to Isaac of the Dead if you like this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, it's totally cool. Thank you for watching this long. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.